On the set, I meet one of Australia's leading aerial cameramen who describes the highs and lows of filming from helicopters. When filmmakers talk about using a chopper in their movie, they're not talking about Eric Bana. They're talking about filming from one of these. With their ability to hover and swoop, choppers are an ideal place to put a camera. Cameraman and pilot Chris FITZ-GIBBON joins me on the set to explain the intricacies of aerial filming. So Chris, how do you film from a helicopter?
Well, Renee, there's probably three ways you can shoot. One way would be a side mount, the other way would be a nose mount, and of course the other good old way, which we don't do that much anymore, is the harnessing up and standing actually on the skids itself. This is where I am right from the start of the trip to the end of the trip. I take off from here, we land from here, we do the job from always sitting from here. This is the office, and I think I've got the best seat. People think, you know, you might fall out when you're doing these sorts of things because you are very close to the door. But the truth of the matter is, when you have, say, a lap sash, and that ties up and restrains you from actually falling out if you do hit an air pocket of any sort. The camera apparatus is tethered in. The camera is tethered to the helicopter as well on a main support. We're not always just shooting from air to ground, we're shooting from air to air. It might be shooting another aircraft where we have to shoot the pilot or the aircraft in flight. Now with in particular, one of the shots that I've done with this particular mount, the Magnum Mark II, we shot the Power Rangers film back in '94, '95. We're probably about 100 metres at the time, which is quite close, especially when you're going through scattered cloud, which can get quite hairy when you go through the cloud, believe me, because suddenly it's grey and you see nothing and everybody just panics and brakes left or right, so until you see the other aircraft again through the cloud, so we get back into it. The mount does take up quite a lot of area. So this is a long Ranger as opposed to a Jet Ranger. This is like the stretch limousine version of a Jet Ranger. It's a 7-seater normally. We've had to actually remove the seats to get the mount in there.
To get the perfect shot, Chris relies heavily on the expertise of a pilot experienced in film work.
The ultimate aim is that you will fly in such a manner that the cameraman simply has to button on, and you'll do all the hard work for him.
If he's used to flying aerial photography, the pilot will actually tell you when the best time, when he's lining the shot up, because you might have wind, you might have just jumping over a tree range, coming straight into the shoot position. He'll say, stand by to button on, and as soon as you're in, bang, button on. So the pilot and the cameraman will work very closely as one.
When we're flying a camera, we're his three-dimensional tripod, and we're trying to capture a shot. So quite often we might want to get closer to the object. We can't just roll in toward the object because the blades will appear in the shot. We've got to slide the aircraft in. With a helicopter, you don't have wheels on the ground, so you can slide sideways. And you can slide to the right, you can slide to the left, you can slide to the left, right. You can do it all. You can go in all directions in 3 dimensions. You can go up and down at the same time.
Of course, you've got to realise that when you're doing aerial photography, you're asking a helicopter to run right on the envelope of whether it flies or doesn't. And sometimes it's shuddering when you're turning because you're turning against the wind. But you're basically asking the helicopter to do things that it's not totally designed for. It's right on the edge of what it's designed for.
And what are some of the favourite sort of sceneries and things that you've shot using all these different mounts?
Probably one of the scariest ones would have been the Victorian Tourist Commission, one for the Grampian Mountain Range, and that was basically flying directly at the cliff face and at the last moment pulling up. And it means that if you do have a problem, you're going to hit the deck for sure.
A camera mounted on the helicopter's nose has Chris in control from the comfort of the back seat.
This particular position, we can chase cars, we can chase boats, we can. You might have seen some of those classic shots where the helicopter's very low over the water, and we tilt up, and you see the big city in the background.
So, is it difficult to be both a pilot and a cameraman?
When I was learning to fly helicopters, I remember my instructor, which was an Air Force instructor, used to say, if there's anybody that's going to kill themselves, it's going to be you, because you're always looking at lovely shots, and that's the sort of trouble you get into when you're a pilot, because you literally got to fly very technical, only thinking of what you're supposed to be doing. Whereas the aerial side is very, it's the artistic side, but you're not thinking of the technical side. So the two don't really run nicely together.
It's probably one of the most expensive camera mounts in the business, but one thing it sure is too, it's the most fun.